Largest outbreaks in the country have been at correctional facilities.
Now, of the 157 confirmed cases, 122 are inmates that are still here at the jail.
So far, 230 detainees have tested positive.
365 prisoners and 99 staff at that facility.
According to the Lancet Medical Journal, there are currently 378 cases of COVID-19 in New York City's prison population alone. That's around 10%. But prisoners are not being routinely tested. Among prison and jail employees who can get tests more easily, there are almost 1,000 COVID cases. At one prison where they are doing mass testing of prisoners in Marion, Ohio, of the 2,500 prisoners, 2,000 have tested positive to COVID-19, an 80% infection rate.
I still have not left my dorm yet because I'm still too scared to go out.
In North Carolina, they've only tested 2% of all prisoners, but at the one facility where they've done mass testing, the NEWS Correctional Institution, the infection rate is nearly 60%. At the notoriously overcrowded Rikers Island in New York, the infection rate is 5 times that the rest of the city, 30 times the national average.
It's the setting that they're in. I've been to Rikers Island. I've seen what it's like. You cannot contain this in Rikers Island.
And remember, over 500,000 Americans are in local jails without having been convicted of any crime. They can't afford to post the median bail of $10,000. Many are accused of offences that don't even carry jail terms. Another 500,000 are in for non-violent drug offences. And the increasing rates of infection in states like Texas are simply astronomical.
To date, more than 1,000 inmates have tested positive for COVID-19. Compare that to 3 positive inmates a month ago. That's more than a 37,000% increase.
But there is a bit of good news. Those who can't post bail or are back in jail for parole violations are among the most likely to be released to avoid infection. In LA County, they've reduced the prison population by around 5,000 or 30%, mostly pre-trial older prisoners and those with pre-existing medical conditions. The reductions in the number of prisoners varies widely, though, from around 7% in South Carolina to over 40% in Colorado. In some cases, governors are granting early release to prisoners due out within 90 days. In other cases, judges are setting no bail or lower bail amounts, non-custodial sentences or deferring weekend detention. Still, between 1.5 and 2 million Americans remain in prison, and the death toll continues to mount. But right now, nobody seems to know how many inmates have actually died.
Today we learned a second inmate at the James T. Vaughn Correctional Center near Smyrna has died from the virus.
Here's his online death notification. Nothing from ADC about the cause, and certainly nothing about coronavirus.
If the prisoners have it today, staff will have it tomorrow, and people in the community will have it the day after that.
Yeah, as you say, John, it's impossible to know just how many prisoners have this thing given the lack of testing, but the Marshall Centre have done their darndest. They've found 14,500 prison corona cases and 217 corona deaths. Undoubtedly, though, as you say, a massive undercount. Also, you mentioned America's biggest corona clusters were in jails. Well, it's not just the top 10. 25 of the biggest 40 COVID clusters in America are in prisons or jails. And by the way, 33 of the top 40 are either in prisons or meat processing plants. And for those who don't care what happens to prisoners, well, remember this. 200,000 people check into jails every week and 200,000 people leave every week. So this is like an engine for spreading COVID. America is not going to control COVID until they control it in the prisons.
And that is all for this week. We will see you for another trip to Planet America, 9:30 p.m. next Wednesday night on ABC TV.
And we'll be having a fireside chat on ABC News at 8:15 Eastern Time on Friday night. There's also more on Facebook, YouTube and iView. See you there.
Good night.